Today, I'm running the 5-part checklist that we use before opening any kind of new Google business profile for our clients. It is the exact playbook we've used to generate millions of dollars in SEO leads in 4 years for all of our clients. And in today's video is a 3,700 review profile. This right here is Accent Roofing Service out of Atlanta. And in yesterday's video, you guys saw all kinds of opportunities that we had lined up for this client, and today we're going to be breaking into those. The background on these guys is they've been in business for decades, thousands of 5-star reviews, and if you watch yesterday, you know they're still not ranking #1 across their entire markets. Now, go watch that breakdown if you want the theory behind why. Today is all about the other half of the problem. Now, today is all about the other half of the problem because their one profile covers a fraction of the metro that they should be trying to target, and everything outside that circle is basically just nothing, right? We have these 4s, we have these 6s, the 8s, even these 20s up here, and this video is going to be showing exactly how we would tackle those for this profile. Transparently, none of these are clients, nobody asked for this, and everything on screen is public information. Today, here's how we're going to run through things. So first off, we're going to check whether this review velocity on this profile can actually support a second profile without starving the first one. Second, we're going to scan the competition in the areas worth expanding into. Third, we're going to find the most profitable territory using the CRM and weather data you guys already have exposure to. Fourth, we're going to go hunting for a real physical address you can hold with this new profile. And finally, we pressure test the timeline because this only works for owners who can actually play the long game. It's the same expansion system we run for our own clients, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to run all 5 checks on your own market, whether you're one truck and a ladder or a multi-crew operation doing 8 figures. Let's get into it. Real quick, here's why this matters. The map pack is a proximity-based algorithm. One profile, however many reviews it has, can only project rankings so far from its pin. And everything past that radius basically just belongs to whoever planted a profile closer, which we're going to break into right here. As you can see from yesterday's videos, these guys got 2s across their immediate market, and that's about it. So expansion is how a dominant company just like Accent Roofing Service becomes an untouchable one. And it's how a smaller company usually outranks a giant one without even having to fight them head on. 5 checks decide whether you're ready. Now, moving on to reviews, which is basically just the lifeblood of every profile. You can have a perfect SEO campaign, an exact match name, everything dialed about it. But if fresh reviews aren't landing consistently, that profile is not going to move. So let's look at Accent's review feed. We're going to pull it up here, obviously sort by newest, so we see what's coming on. And we got one about 3 hours ago, 5 stars, which is great. Got one about a day ago. Unfortunately, this 1 star did come in 3 days ago for them, 4 days ago, 5 days ago. Okay, this is pretty consistent, right? They're stacking reviews at a pace their current profile, frankly, doesn't need, okay? As we covered yesterday, past a certain point, velocity in a single profile is basically just overkill, okay? That surplus is exactly what funds a second profile. A new profile typically needs about 1 to 2 5-star reviews a week. Anything more and you risk suspension early on. Beyond that, getting into about weeks 4, 5, and 6, you can start to drip feed 2 to 3 more 5-star reviews in the profile without really having to worry about suspending it. And that's kind of the sweet spot where Google actually begins reading it as a new pin and a living business. Now, the critical rule, and I want to state this very clearly, this is where owners hurt themselves. You never vampire the main profile. The problem with standing up new Google business profiles, obviously, and one of the pushbacks we get from every one of our clients is, hey, what's going to happen to my original profile? If your primary listing is only getting about 1 to 2 reviews a week, though, total, that flow needs to stay in your main GBP. Otherwise, you're just pulling out good reviews to a sustained profile right now, and you're just going to suck the lifeblood out of it. This play only works when your review generation system is automated for post-job follow-ups and you have the text asking on the spot. And on top of that, you have CRM sequences and procedures to actually maintain consistent review velocity. Sustain that first and then shave the surplus into the second account. And think about what those early reviews do for a brand new pin. A fresh profile has 0 history, no photos, no proof it's a real operation. So those first few weeks of consistent 5-star reviews is the entire trust signal that Google's actually going to start to use to begin ranking that profile. Reviews landing weekly with photos attached and ideally the service or neighborhood mentioned naturally within the reviews is going to begin to teach the algorithm what the profile is and where it serves faster than anything else you can do. Quick pause for just a second. If you're running this checklist against your operation and you're not sure your review system could feed a second profile, it's totally normal. Most profiles I audit on all my discovery calls are running into this exact same problems and owners just aren't sure what to do. but it's fixable. And it's the same system behind millions of dollars of SEO leads that we've generated for our clients over the past few years. If you want myself and my team to run this exact expansion analysis on your market, book a call at the first link in the description. Back to the video. Now, kicking off check number 2, who is actually defending the territory that you want? So let's pull a scan, something very similar to this. We've got it running on the main profile. And let's just kind of start poking around at the Google business profiles and see exactly who has these rankings right now. So earlier I went through some audits and I found these guys up here. K9 Roof Repair. I saw this one. I don't really want to touch this profile. 48 reviews. They've got pretty strong job history up here around some of these areas. It could be a contender for us. 49 reviews isn't that strong, to be honest. I did pull their review or their GBP earlier. Let's take a look just briefly here. Going to go into their reviews and sort by newest. Okay, so they came in about a month ago, 2 months ago, 2 months ago. These guys are getting some Google business reviews, right? And they've got decent rankings up here around like the northeast side. Maybe this is a place they want to target, but lucky for us, these guys, if you were paying attention to our audit yesterday, they actually published some of their data on their website under their service areas page, which I don't quite recommend. And they actually show where all these jobs they've actually performed in the past are located at. So this is the heart of Atlanta down here. They're located somewhere around here, and it looks like most of the jobs are hanging around just in these areas. So what I did in the rest of my audit is I tried to look at more of these like western areas around here, and this is when I started to get really, really exciting. So Peach Roofing was over here, Northern Roofing and Remodeling was over here, Elevate Restoration Services, and if you notice, these guys got 23, 30, 69, 52 reviews. There's just not a whole lot going on over here, right? So we started looking at some of these profiles. K9 we obviously talked about. We got Accent. Hail or High Water, I believe, was over here further on the left. There we go. Oh no, these guys are right on top of them. I want to see if I can find FCC, because that was a great example. The roofing company, again, we talked about this yesterday. This was the exact match domain we were getting into. Let's take a look a little bit further. I think we found one northwest earlier. Yeah, so Dom Roofing Restoration, R4 Restoration, all these guys. The only one that I'm really, really concerned about is Dom Roofing and Restoration, these guys specifically, with about 730 reviews. These are the only guys that I wouldn't target with this kind of review velocity that Accent has. Overall, they've got enough 5-star reviews coming in to take over any piece of this market down here. We could look through here, Northern Roofing and Remodeling. They could probably take most of this ranking right here. And what's even crazier is even these guys just getting about 30 reviews in the profile right now. It's obvious these guys are getting more calls than our main profile for Accent over here. We're just ranking 2s and 3s, right? And if you want to see the breakdown exactly why that is, that was in the video yesterday. But overall, we're just kind of looking for competition, right? And aside from seeing Dom Roofing up here, I'm not really seeing a whole lot that I'm terribly concerned about. A lot of these profiles, I don't want to say are outdated, but their review velocity and even their review count is not that impressive. Hail or High Water, I could see a case being made for these guys to try and avoid. We talked about this yesterday in the video, kind of what I think they're doing well, what they're not doing well, so check out that video if you guys want. I think the review velocity was actually okay. Let's just take a quick look at it one more time. Oh, a month ago, 2 months ago, and then the 1-star, of course. So not great, to be honest with you guys. And again, in that video yesterday, we broke down exactly why these guys are outranking our big 3,700 review juggernaut that we're talking about with Accent right now. So that's kind of the competitor research aspect of this part of finding a new Google business profile. Overall, I don't see any places we couldn't try not to target. And I think in this video, I'll break down further an address over here. So let's take a look. So third, we're going to look at what jobs are actually profitable in these areas, right? And 9 times out of 10, you guys already have this data. And I see so many other agency owners miss this. They never actually go into the CRM and find the most profitable jobs. If Accent were a client, I'd be inside their job history looking for the highest ticket, best margin work. Which neighborhoods actually produced the full replacements, the storm damage claims, and the jobs that carried the quarter through? What actually happened? Is there an area around that you guys know about that the weather just tears up roofs a lot more? You guys know best. Real quick, this does depend on the niche. Pest control usually relies on the recurring value of a lot of different customers on the same service contracts. HVAC and plumbing are looking for those large maintenance agreements or maybe even those high-ticket sewer and drain work. And roofing is always looking for those roof repairs that they can upsell into full replacements, usually based on that storm damage. So look at your CRM data and see exactly how it lines up. Which brings in the second data source that you already know, which is weather. You know the exact storms, where they rip through your metro, and which neighborhoods have the exposed ridge lines, where the wind funnels through and actually takes shingles with it. Just look at your CRM data. 9 times out of 10, you can find exactly where your new Google Business Profile should go, just based on looking at the data of what storms have come through and what households and what neighborhoods actually got hit the worst. And that is where the pin should be going. Practically, this should be about an afternoon's worth of work. Export the last 2 years of closed jobs from your CRMs, whether that's ServiceTitan or Jobber or House Call Pro, sort by revenue and margin, and then just drop them in a map. Take a look at the data, give it to an AI, and see exactly where you should be placing the second Google Business Profile from an address standpoint. The clusters should just jump out at you, and they're usually tighter than most owners expect. Check number 4 is you actually need to expand into where not only the competition is weak, but you can actually get a physical address. So we're going to be looking over here in the western side, browsing this area. We got warehouses, which we can work from, and also contractor offices. Now, looking back at our competition, we found Peach Roofing over here on the left side. 23 reviews. The other competition around here is pretty thin. I would be honestly confident going after this profile. So let's dig into it for just a minute. After poking around on Google Maps, we found this place right here, and it's just about to the west of Peach Roofing. Peach, I think, is actually located over here, pretty close in one of these homes. So what was so special about this place, right? Why did we actually choose this? Well, for one, there's a bunch of other different Google Business Profiles in this location, right? We are trying to blend in, almost like a hermit crab trying to find a shell, and another location on Google Maps where we can just kind of find a home for this new Google Business Profile, okay? Lots of other ones have been verified out of this location, so it's warmed up. Google is used to seeing new profiles, and chances are Google's actually used to seeing a lot more profiles just come and go out of this office park, right? You can see all kinds of different ones here. We've got a wellness clinic, we've got a medical firm, home care, all kinds of stand-up turnaround offices. And this is exactly what we want to be targeting. Lucky for us, this is actually close to a number of residential properties through here. This right here is money for a Google Business Profile. What you need to be doing is finding an office space that is legit and close to residential. What you need to be doing is finding a profile that is legit and close to residential residences. This is the key right here. If you can stand up a Google Business Profile right here, which is just south of where Peach is located, it's right around here off the highway, you could really clean up. This is just the basic strategy every single time. I want to find a Google Business Profile, a legit location you can walk into and rent. Now, check number 5, and I have to be honest with you guys, let's have a heart-to-heart for a second, okay? Let's walk it down for Accent. Could they actually do this, right? Let's actually look at their profile, see what's going on over here, and if they can actually support a new profile and the timeline that it takes to get that profile live. A company in this position usually can take on the risk of starting a new profile because it's going to pay for itself inside of about 4 to 6 months. And that's about as fast as it ever gets. Now, just for the sake of argument for a second, let's say you actually are ranked well in your market, like Hail or High Water Roofing. That profile beat Accents in yesterday's video. Now, let's talk about what they can actually do. Is their profile actually ready? Okay, this one has a little bit more nuance than our main profile, Accent Roofing. So again, pull up their reviews, and you can see about a month ago, 2 months ago, 5 months ago. Now, this is interesting, okay? Would I actually recommend these guys go for a second profile? In this case, I actually would, right? Their review velocity is not incredible, but the timeline to actually rank with the review velocity they've had, if they can actually maintain this #1 ranking here with the reviews, it's not that hard for them to go walk over to one of these existing markets and just start expanding. I would recommend that Hail or High Water get a new Google Business Profile because as soon as this sleeping giant wakes up, they're going to be in trouble. Again, if you want to see exactly how you turn around this campaign and how these guys are not ranking #1, video breakdown yesterday. But for these guys, it's honestly just more of a defensive play. Spreading out into 2 or 3 other pins around their whole business market might actually be the defensive play that saves them. It just goes to show that SEO necessarily isn't always an offensive play. Sometimes it's a defensive play. And by having an incredible offense, by standing up more profiles, it becomes a defensive play. So if you're going to get a new profile, it needs citations built. Obviously, it's landing page set up and the location and the headings, all the internal links pointed to it correctly, and make sure you're embedding those reviews on the page. Owners ask me constantly, when is the best time to start up a profile? And I tell them, it just depends, right? If we're going to start building in the spring, we're going to start seeing leads come in near about fall time when you guys are actually powering down. If we start SEO midsummer when you guys are cash flush and you guys can actually invest in SEO, we'll be ready by about spring, right? If we have time to invest through the winter and actually build the SEO and get you guys those enough reviews, cranking the profile, get things warmed up, all the citations indexed, which we'll talk about all kinds of these things later on, then you guys are actually cranking for spring. It just depends when the time is right for you guys. I always tell people the best time to plant a tree is about 10 years ago, and the second best time to plant a tree is today, right? It just takes time. And as soon as you guys can actually invest in SEO and get these new profiles live, it's going to pay off in anywhere from 8 to 12 months. All right, so just to recap, because this sounds all good on paper, but what could go wrong, right? First off is the vampire rule. And you don't want to be sucking off all those reviews from your main profile just to try and hydrate a second one, and then you let your first profile die. So you got to keep that in mind. And then obviously, second, a great address and a great Google business profile in an unprofitable zone isn't going to be helping anybody. Use whatever data you have at your fingertips to try and choose that second location extremely carefully. So the thesis of this video can be summed up in about one idea, and basically proximity wins, right? And if you actually have the feasibility to go get new profiles and siphon off some of the reviews into that new profile, you're going to be a lot closer to searchers. Again, guys, local SEO is a proximity-based algorithm. Without being close to your searchers, the best SEO company in the world can't rank you green all the way across your metro. It just doesn't exist. And if you find an example, let me know and show me. If you want us to run this exact expansion analysis on your market, the whole velocity check for the reviews, the competitor scans, the territory data, the address hunt, the real timeline, then book a call with us at the first link in the description, and we're going to build you a plan live on that call. If you'd rather run it yourself, then again, everything you need is in this video. You guys can run a soup to nuts audit on your entire profile and see exactly where you guys should be expanding. Either way, pull up your own scan tonight and look at the edges of where your Google business profile actually covers, because that empty space in the map is either your next profile or your next competitors.